What is up, everyone? This is SpireFan here. We just had our last Pokemon TCG Highlander in-person monthly for the year. It's a great time. There's a holiday bonus for anyone that brought ice types. We had Vance, Kelley, Greg Playter show up from out of state. I mean, Greg's about to move back to Washington. Greg has been a longtime player. Ever since 2016. Vance, lives in California, and he was able to come out here and play just like last month. PJ, looking like to be a returning player for quite a few more events, at least in the future, was also there. And K. Willie, who, in my opinion, is on a trailblazing path to being one of our best players. So, it was a gauntlet for sure. And there's just a lot of great sets to be watching here today. Also, there is a tournament guide to see an overview of the Pokemon that everyone used. If you look in the description, there is a link to that on the eaglesperch.net. Without further ado, let's get into the matches. So round one, we have Greg Playter versus PJ Wallace. Greg Playter's actually playing Ryan Green's deck from last month, which is Furret, Corviknight, Tyrantrum. And PJ is playing a brand new deck. We haven't seen him play cards like Tapu Fini and Tapu Bulu before. He's also playing Aromatisse and Azumarill, as you see there. Gets the Battle VIP Pass, Level Ball in turn 1. Great opener. Pivots right into Mr. Mime with a Fighting Fury Belt and Fairy Energy on Tapu Fini, already getting good momentum. We see the double Level Ball from Greg, is able to pivot into Cosmog, build up a DCE, and hopefully start dealing damage with Furret. We see the Professor Oak's New Theory from PJ refreshing, get a good hand of 6. Again, momentum is key. We see that Snubbull on the bench. Gramble will start reducing damage by 10 once he's out. And then Mr. Mime can actually do some pretty good damage with Desperate Slap. So, Greg's going to have to be careful of that. We see the pivot into Furret. Furret level X uses the power to disrupt PJ's hand. Gets some damage on the board with Furret's attack. Now, Mr. Mime will live. Mr. Mime can be very hard to KO thanks to his 2 Pokebodies, and you can use modifiers like Eviolite and Fighting Fury Belt to help with that. See, the Tierno goes for Battle Compressor, thins out his deck, gets 2 Fairy Energy in the discard, which will be very good for Azumarill. He notices that in this game state, he's probably not going to be using Deontay that much, so he gets her out of the way as well for this game. So he doesn't draw into her. Now, she can be good with the Mega as well for a lot of damage, but right now PJ is understanding he's kind of set up, so he's going to start promoting his attackers like Tapu Fini and Gramble a lot here. Well, once Mr. Mime might go down, that's the thing. If Greg can't handle taking down Mr. Mime, then PJ's just going to keep building his board. We see the Floatstone on Mr. Mime in case he doesn't have a Fairy Garden like here. Again, hits with Tapu Fini, goes back to Mr. Mime. We see Vivillon on Greg's side. Vivillon can turn all your energy into one type for a Pokemon. So for Tyrantrum, all your energy can become Dragon Energy if needed. And then you can run Triple Excel to turn 3 colorless into 3 Dragon. And then you can use Furret's Poke Power to recycle that. Now, I will say this, and Greg would want me to claim this. Greg did not realize that Dragon Energy is one of the options until later in the tournament. So by the next time you see him on the coverage, he'll know a little bit through into the match, and he'll know that the energy can be converted to Dragon, but at this time he doesn't know that. So I did want to point that out. It's very strong. Ryan did hand him the deck, but yeah, that part of the communication was not there, which, Greg humbly was like, oh, dang, yeah, okay, that's really good. I'll try to push that for the rest of the tournament. We see Corviknight, which says that if a Pokemon leaves the active spot, they take a lot of damage just from Clutch alone. PJ's reading it right now. He will retreat Mr. Mime to get KO'd. We see the Broken Time Space from Greg. Corviknight is able to pick up your Pokemon, and then with Broken Time Space, you can play the Pokemon back down ASAP. So Galeo with the Triple Excel, looking like a triple metal there to get a KO. 2 prizes to PJ's 4. Let's see what he does to come back here. PJ plays his own Rescue Stretcher. Gramble can do a lot of damage for 2 energy, but looks like he's building up for Tantrum, which gets stronger for every damage counter on Gramble. We see Blissey level X. Blissey level X says once per game. If one of your Pokemon are about to get knocked out, they actually will go to 10 HP instead. And PJ told me that this was like really big for him during the set. Take note about that momentum. He leveled up Blissey and retreated her to the bench, which is very helpful with Fairy Garden. Just very good in general for form changes because, as you saw, you can level up and then just go to the bench. See Blissey level X promoted, looking like potential poison damage here. Or I think what actually he's doing is the first attack on Blissey. Getting some chip damage out there. Furret goes down. Yeah, it looks like he collected some energy to do more damage there. We see the Corviknight. Again, Triple Excel's looking into Triple Metal, but I don't know if he's going to hit past Blissey level X. Does not get the KO there. And, we see the Fairy drop. We see a ton of healing thanks to Blissey's power. I also know that PJ plays Potion. So this is very big here. He needs, with 2 prizes each, you're definitely like, you want to take prizes, you want to see if you can deny prizes. Blissey is trying to be a cleaner here, just like Corviknight. So very intense game overall in terms of risk and reward. Goes into Gramble, knocks out, retreats to Mr. Mime, tries to wall out, denying Greg a prize. Now reading Gramble, making sure he knows what he does, and it looks like PJ takes game 1 with Blissey level X. So going into this, it would look like, I think, for Greg to adapt. He understands that he's going to have to get back past Mr. Mime, most likely. As you saw in game 1, PJ was able to just build his board super fast, thanks to Mr. Mime denying just damage, and prize cards in general. Again, we see an opener with a full bench. Tapu Fini pivots into Mr. Mime. We see Greg also start with Centrant, already getting Cosmoem out. Looking like, okay, Villain is getting prepared, but not yet. We don't see the Scatterbug on the bench, but Furret with 2 metal, trying to get some damage on the board. We do see a knockout onto Furret, so Greg will lose his outlet there for getting his DC and Triple Excel back mid-late game. See Tyrant looking like a potential sacrifice Pokemon, and PJ's already in a 2-prize lead. Solgaleo comes back, but again with Mr. Mime's Pokebodies, it's looking like he's going to live by 10 HP, even if he did a Sunsteel Strike. We see the Klefki on Azumarill to get more damage, but Klefki gives Greg a prize card. So, in this case, PJ is just trying to maintain board control with high damage and healing, so he's okay with giving a prize to Greg as long as he maintains momentum here. Again, we see Blissey level X able to sustain a lot of damage and deny a KO. Here comes Solgaleo trying to return with an OH KO on Blissey. Greg checking something there, making sure that everything is lined up, because Sunsteel Strike should knock out Blissey, but PJ did the triple poison. Okay, gotcha. See the new theory. Again, Blissey level X is really anchoring this match, and it looks like PJ takes game 2. So, round 2, we got Vance Kelley versus PJ Wallace. Vance Kelley is playing a classic deck. If you're PJ, Ryan, Green, Greg Playter, me, or Vance, you very much well know about the Rayquaza, Moltres, Zapdos deck. Also Steven and Niles, they definitely would know about this. And so Vance is basically modernizing it. This deck is from 2016. He's bringing it with new Highlander strategies and cards. Promoting Volbeat early on. Volbeat's able to cycle in supporters. Now what this deck does is Rayquaza will use his speed game Poke Power, and you flip a coin until you get tails for each heads. Attach a lightning or fire energy to Rayquaza to quickly accelerate those energy. Use Flareon and Arcanine to move him around, or Moltres. Now I say Zapdos, that's the classic deck. He's not running Zapdos in this one, just Moltres. But yeah, back then definitely it was Zapdos, Moltres, Rayquaza was like a big part of his deck. We saw the Gramble level X earlier from PJ. Gramble level X basically has a disruptive Poke Power, which makes Vance have to shuffle in and then draw only a few amount of cards. And then Gramble level X has an attack that you can only use it that turn. You can't use it the next turn. But if they do damage to Gramble, that Pokemon's knocked out. So again, part of PJ's strategy of promoting a hard punishing wall like Mr. Mime or Gramble level X, and then going into someone like Azumarill or Tapu Fini, and then just trying to get KOs pretty fast there. We see the opener. This is already round 2. PJ won with his Gramble level X plays. Battle VIP Pass, gets the Fighting Fury Belt, wants to put that on the Tapu Fini to really tank her, and she's going to be healing a lot with things like Aqua Ring. goes into Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime is burned from Flareon, burned and confused, so that is a great way to get past Mr. Mime's Pokebodies. We see Mega Rayquaza just hit through Mr. Mime. Vance realizes he needs higher damage now, and Mega Rayquaza can definitely grant that here. Now, Rayquaza is actually, weak to Fairy, but with Mega Rayquaza, it gets rid of his weakness. So that's, very good there for that matchup. We see Mega Rayquaza go down. We see Carbink promoted. Carbink says if the opponent is a basic Pokemon, their attacks cost 2 colors more or an EX. So we saw the retaliation with Emboar there. Or Pig Knight's out on the bench. We saw with Arcanine and Flareon. Definitely have to use those Pokemon to try to hit around Carbink or hit Carbink himself. See the Moltres with 1 fire energy. Moltres can do 100 damage for 3, and as you've seen with Vance's deck, he's able to quickly accelerate to Moltres. Also thanks to Moltres' Flame Charge and Legendary Ascent Poke Powers. See the Lightning energy, there you go, okay, get another fire. Looking like he's going to go hit for 100, which is very good. Now, one cool thing about this deck is that Moltres' attack just says discard all fire energy, not all energy. So if you do have an energy that doesn't provide fire, you get to keep that around the lightning, and then you can use Pokemon like Rayquaza and Flareon to move fire energy back to try to stream the attack. We see the Emboar, very high HP, very high damage potential there. He's definitely recognizes, especially like you see that Azumarill with Assault Vest, PJ just has high damaging tanks, is able to pivot with Fairy guarded. So we do see Emboar dishing some damage here. Doesn't get the KO on Azumarill. Thankfully, doesn't have a special energy to get mitigated by Assault Vest, but PJ does end up taking that game. So yeah, good on PJ for taking that momentum there. So for the final game, we got Vance Kelley versus Greg Playter. Vance starts with a Rayquaza and Lightning Energy. Greg with a BTS DCE on Heatran. Already gets out Pavilion. He is looking to start streaming attacks with Heatran there, get the Dragon Energy, but with Pavilion, all that can be converted into Metal if needed. We see the pivot into Pavilion. It looks like Vance is trying to set up Blossom here. Blossom will give him an extra energy from the hand as a poke power, also heal 20 from the Pokemon that got the energy. Okay, we see the Eevee with the fire energy, call for family to Growlithe. So Greg grabs 2 metal energy, pivots into Turtonator. Now Turtonator is a good sacrificial wall in this case, but you can also use Shell Trap to really punish the opponent if they hit into Turtonator, similar to Mr. Mime. A little more offense oriented in sacrifice of defense with the Pokebodies of Mr. Mime. Again, Heatran's looking with 2 metal energy. Heatran level X now says that once Heatran level X goes to the bench, if your fire or metal Pokemon attack and discard energy, you can reattach at least 2 of those energy as a Pokebody. And so Solgaleo and Corviknight love that type of attack. Paired with the villain, it's a good way of streaming energy there as well. So we see the early prize cards. I mean, from both sides, both sides are swinging already. You see Solgaleo with a Triple Excel, uses Ultra Road to move in. Takes a prize, does a ton of damage there. We see the Reshiram by Vance on the bench with 2 Lightning, ready to Blue Flare pretty soon, especially with this type of deck. We see Moltres take a prize card. Vance only has 2 prizes left. Again, Greg promotes Furret. Furret's able good to do recovery. Also uses Furret, the Keen Eye attack from Furret to grab 2 any cards that he wants. In Highlander, you have Shuffle Armor, so those cards cannot be shuffled in by like N or Marnie next turn by the opponent. We see Reshiram with 2 Lightning. This is interesting. Dragon type versus Dragon type could, some Dragon types do have weaknesses to their own type. With Outrage, it would be very interesting to see how those numbers work out. See Volbeat in the active. Volbeat able to shuffle supporters in at the top of the deck, or place the support at the top. But your opponent gets 2/2, so sometimes Vance will play like N as part of his strategy to make sure they don't get a guaranteed supporter next turn. We see the Turtonator with Dragon Energy using some Shell Trap tactics to punish the opponent. Now he will, I was going to say, so he needs 2 energy there. But I think he also did, he did Flame Cloak this game, which can help accelerate energy. Definitely during the set, Flame Cloak definitely helped out a lot there. Looking like Greg, Greg took that one. Greg is being very helpful in shuffling for Vance. Vance had to take a quick break during the set. Time is still rolling there. Let's see what happens here in game 2. See Centrite with Cosmog, Centrite with the DCE, opens with Nest Ball. Very good. You want to get out the villain as fast as possible, and the average matchup for this deck, able to convert your energy. We see Moltres with 2 fire energy. Okay, and we see Volbeat actually take the 2 fire energy, probably making Greg work for his targets. You know, the threats of Zekrom and Moltres being the attackers is something Greg has to take into hand, so he's using Volbeat kind of as a fire energy storage there for Arcanine and Flareon to move off later, as we're seeing right now. We see the Arcanine attack hitting Turtonator, but you know, Turtonator can punish the opponent with Shell Trap. Looks like he does Flame Cloak right there. One thing really cool to note is that with Heatran level X and Solgaleo, you can use Solgaleo's Ultra Road to quickly switch him out, and now Heatran level X will be providing beneficial energy to all your attackers for the rest of the game. There. So we see Tyrantrum with the DCE able to attack Zekrom there. Okay, get the Triple Excel, hits that for a prize card. Again, able to stream energy this way. Going to see what Vance will retaliate with in Momentum. Pivots up to Zekrom, does a Bolt Strike. Very good use of Zekrom's damage and high HP, so if Greg doesn't get the KO back, then Vance could do a lot with Outrage if he wanted to. See the Gloom with Float Stone. Okay, goes for the Professor's Research. Very good in this deck because you want a lot of discarded fire for Rayquaza and Moltres. See the Mega Rayquaza try to get some damage on the board for 1 energy. Now Dragon Pulse does make you discard, you know, from the top of your deck, but it's worth the risk here just to get more damage on the board and promote some threatening plays against Greg. See Moltres discard the 2 fire, takes a prize card. Villain with a Float Stone is promoted again. He could pivot into someone like Solgaleo or Corviknight, and if he gets like a Triple Excel, it's a lot of damage. Now we see the Emboar able to move up a bunch of fire energy and just do a ton of damage, and that's what the play's looking like here. Now with Corviknight though, Corviknight has a lot of defense for every energy you discard for his last attack, and so Triple Excel, by discarding 3, it does very good defensive wise for Corviknight. So it looks like we're going into a game 3 here. I remember this set being very good, so yeah, we'll see how both players adjust accordingly. Okay, you can see the Tyrant with the Mental Energy, already trying to set up that Tyrantrum play there. Let's place it. Roseanne's Research down, Arceus DCE Fire. Now if you go second, you get 2 attachments, so that's very strong for Arceus. You can get an early game Sky Spear if you're able to pivot, as we see with the Float Stone there. He's going to try to move into Arceus, take an early prize, knock out Scatterbug there, recognizing how huge Villain is for this deck. We will see how Greg adjusts accordingly. We already see a Tyrantrum loaded up with 3 energy, so Vance is going to have to be careful because Zekrom and Reshiram are weak to Dragon, so Tyrantrum could definitely start one-shotting them pretty fast. See the Professor Kukui wanting to amplify his damage. Now if you look at the top left, that is Vance's Lost Zone. He has 2 DCE in there, he won't be getting that back for the rest of the game, but to him, he recognizes it's worth trying to get these picks so that Greg can't set up someone like the Villain, as you saw with Scatterbug there. And that ends the event. So congrats to PJ Wallace for taking the whole thing. He did very well. He actually did not lose a round except for against K. Willie, and I mentioned earlier K. Willie has been improving a lot as a player, and I look forward to what him and all the other players bring next year. Again, thanks for tuning in. K. Willie brought a Hawaiian Bros gift card as a prize bonus, and then the pizza place they framed a poster they wanted signed by Vance, and they also got a Pokeball for him to sign, so that was very generous, and they also gave us a free pizza. It was very, very kind of them. They've been a great venue this year, and we look forward to having more events with them next year. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you around.